Leah. It's Sunday at 3 in Washington, D.C. It is just an incredibly beautiful day in the neighborhood, and that's why I'm outside. Um, and I've got things to share. I said on my email list that I would probably do this new kind of hymn chant thing that I wrote as a welcome gathering song for a church service that I did this morning. So I'll start with that. And then let you know something that happened to me today. And then if you'd like, you can comment on the chats. Let me know what you think. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. Come with your sorrows, your cares, and your tears. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. Worshipper, wanderer, seeker, draw near. 'Cause all are welcome here. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. True love will guide us and cure all our fear. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. And I guess to some extent, that's my response to the hate has no home here, and the in this house we believe, and all of the signs, some of the signs that are going up these days. Certainly a pleasure and an honor to state where my allegiance lies. So a couple of days ago, someone mentioned an app, like a neighborhood app, kind of like Craigslist, but concentrated on the place where you live. And so I have some things to sell and to share, so I signed in on there. And I just wrote one of my favorite things about the DC area and about the place where we live, which is that it is diverse, really diverse in ages and ethnicities and religions and political views, and yet we are all respectful of each other. And that is one of my favorite things about living here. So that was my bio. That was how I introduced myself. And then I put a picture of one of the flowers I saw on a walk recently to introduce myself to my neighbors. And the first response I got came today from one of my neighbors who wrote, "Yep, I agree with you, except that all these dark-skinned people kind of scare me." And then a bunch of kind of weird emojis. And it was like, whatever that sound is when the record scratches and everything comes to a halt. I was like, oh, right. That energy in America in 2020. All right, so I'm face to face with part of the reality of what our collective consciousness is. How do I respond to that? And for a moment, there was hurt, like severe hurt, because if you haven't noticed, I'm one of the dark-skinned people, and my neighbor has nothing to fear from me. And it's unfortunate that he would feel that way. And there was disappointment in him and in our collective experience. And I started to think, my 4-year-old has said a couple of really wise things recently. First of all, we were in the house and there was a sound outside, and she got a stick or something. She was like, "Ooh, if someone comes, I'm going to bash them." And I said, "Lucy, why would you bash them?" And she said, "Because I'm afraid." And it was so profound that a 4-year-old understands the concept that so much of the violence and anger that we turn on each other has to do with our own personal fear. And Lucy is very afraid of storms these days. That's like her huge fear point. And I have to tell her, sure, is there a potential for a storm to hurt you? Yeah, sure, there's lightning and and trees can fall, and all those things are possible. So it would be disingenuous for me to say storms can't hurt you, dark-skinned people can't hurt you. But my response to my neighbor was, well, I understand where you're coming from. I could say the same thing about light-skinned people, especially light-skinned people who are afraid of dark-skinned people. But it's my preference to approach each individual as just that, as a person, respect them, love them unconditionally, and expect the best from them. And I realized as I was working through my pain and my disappointment and my anger and my fear, that one of the reasons I am able to not immediately hate this guy for what he wrote or whatever it might be is because of all of the love and the kindness I receive from light-skinned people, from dark-skinned people. And so I figured I would put together a public service announcement. Now, beware, this is going to be segregated. So if you do not belong to the group I mentioned, just cover your ears for a few seconds and maybe you'll belong to the next group. To all of my European American friends and neighbors, please continue to be kind, because your kindness will continue to improve the world that we all share. Okay, so European Americans, cover your ears. This is for those who are considered African Americans. Please continue to be kind, because your kindness is what will improve the world and make it a pleasant and beautiful place for us to share. Okay, Black people, cover your ears up. Asian Americans, please continue to be kind, because your kindness is what will make this place a pleasure for us to share. My friends who identify as Latin American, please continue to be kind, because your kindness is what will make this place worth continuing to share. And now I'll address the penguins in my audience. Guys, it's the only thing that matters. Love, kindness, humanity, and you're the only person who can decide how you show up in any situation. So if my neighbor wants to be afraid of me because of the way I look, he has that prerogative. And I have the prerogative and the power to show him that he's wrong. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are. No person, no circumstance has to change for me to show His love. Thank you, neighbor, for reminding me that. And thank you guys for hanging out. See you soon. I appreciate you, Alicia. Thank you.